Hello, this is Scott Wilson with Forward Networks, here today to talk about the emergency directive CISA recently released, 2601, a big one for F5 devices. Without going into the background, you know your priority at work just changed. We have until 29 October to identify all F5 devices and software instances, but before that, we're going to have to immediately prioritize which devices are internet accessible. This means we have to follow Directive 2302, mitigating the risk from internet exposed management interfaces. We'll also need to be deploying security updates, disconnecting public-facing end-of-support devices. Today, it happens to be about F5, and tomorrow, who knows? It could be any other vendor. So you need a programmatic way to answer emergency directives like this as fast as possible for any network vendor with authoritative data. Now, Forward Networks has this solution. We are vendor agnostic and build a comprehensive digital twin of your network so you can easily respond to directives like these. The first one here, let's go ahead and just discover devices. Can we find network devices that we may not already have on our inventory? For us so far, I just went and said discover devices, and I'm going to go ahead and sweep a /23. Could even be a bigger subnet. We need to find the ports that these devices will listen on, like F5 on their management interfaces will listen on port 22 for SSH. And Forward Networks does a credential-based scan to pick up these devices. We already have a set of credentials added, and we can use jump servers for this discovery or not. We're just going to go ahead with the not version of that and run this discovery. And that's how easy it is. We just basically say, go ahead and scan. It could be a large subnet. We are entering in that subnet, picking port 22 and off to the races. And this discovery we can use and we can schedule it. So you can have this run, let's say at nighttime or in the morning or whatever time is best to run such a thing for you. And you can have it go out and sweep that network and pick up those network devices that may not be currently on the inventory that we're using to go ahead and build that digital twin. Now, it ran through that entire network, that /23, and found us here a load balancer. So that's one way, right? We can go out and we can scan and we can find these devices, help you build out that complete inventory so you're reporting accurately. Now, I'm going to take you on into another view. This one here happens to be a bigger network, bigger estate. And because Forward Networks takes a snapshot of the network, we create that digital twin, accurately modeling how any packet, as you can imagine, any packet going through all these numerous sites and places, clouds, etc., and a vendor agnostic data model from all these network devices, the configuration and the state information we're getting. So if you imagine going in to your inventory here, we have a built-in set of reports, one of them MAC entries. So all of the MAC entries, which are in the state tables of all your switches, and we go out there and we look for all of those MAC entries, put them in right here. Now I can look and say, we were talking about credentialed devices, but what if I don't have the credentials to a device and it's connected to my network? It would leave a breadcrumb. It would leave some mark. It would leave some indication. And I can see off of this LAX access layer switch, VLAN 10, there's a MAC address that's owned by F5 Incorporated that's off ETH03. So I can go out and figure out what that device is. And if we don't know what it is, well, at least I know where to shut it off. So, and then someone will complain, of course, and we can get this thing sorted out. Now, our inventory report, once we've collected all these devices, very simple, very easy to do. In the vendor column here, pick F5, boof. There's my list of all my F5 devices, and I can even download this report and use that as Excel spreadsheet to go ahead and report on it. But I also have other layers of information, such as, are any of these devices, this chassis here for F5, is it end of support? And it looks like it just went end of support in April 1st. Maybe that's an April Fool's Day joke, but it went end of support for us here for this F5. And likewise, we can look at the operating system support for F5 and other vendors and look ahead and see when any of the versions that we're running, when did those also go end of support. Now that's a huge level of analysis using just built-in reports based off of that discovery and that inventory that we've created, and we have that full and complete digital twin. But remember, one of those other items in this emergency directive that we might be struggling with: identify management interfaces that are accessible from the internet. This one's easy too. Now, we've been using our vendor agnostic data model, but let's use that, how any packet on the network could traverse or move about on our network. To do this, I have an interface group that's F5 management interfaces. So I'm basically using some simple regexes to identify interfaces that belong to the F5s, that are the management interfaces. And all I have to do to use that is say from the internet, go to management F5 management interfaces. And I can see that there is no physical way, no possible way for that to occur. It's just that easy. And if I want to, I can go ahead and save that path and say, if it ever happens, somebody accidentally opens up a rule, makes a connection, whatever, we'll pick that up, because Forward Networks is going to go out and scan that network, collect all the configuration and state, build that digital twin, and run this check. Tell us if this is possible. But we also go the extra mile for you. We're going to go ahead and look at that path information I talked about, this vendor agnostic data model, and bring in the CVEs and what CVEs may have known exploits and when those CVEs were announced, and run through a complete and total analysis of the vulnerabilities on our F5 devices. We had five F5 devices. 4 of them here have a slew of vulnerabilities that need to be addressed. Some are configuration independent, meaning, hey, we're running the wrong version, we're going to have to upgrade. Some have a configuration not vulnerable, meaning I didn't enable that feature. So this is a great set of analysis. It does most of the work for you. And again, simple as downloading a report. That intent check can notify your ticketing systems. The inventory reports can be downloaded and sent where you need to report them to CISA. And on top of that, we can run all sets of different types of checks, like our STIGs and other types of compliance check that we need to run on these devices. So my answer to this emergency directive 2601 that just came out, and like it would be to others, whenever another vendor has to go through something like that, is put this data of your network, unleash it. You have authoritative data on your network when you use Forward Networks. Our digital twin gives you that authoritative data to answer and respond fast to these emergency directives and continually keep up to date with them as you're going through all of your remediation efforts. So visit us at forwardnetworks.com. This is Scott Wilson signing out. Hope you had a good time. Thanks.